What's up, guys? Time to show off an original. So, in the beginning, when I was working on this platform, I was just modifying Boctok, like stock dials, before I knew I could do things with dials and have parts manufactured and have hands made and Cerakote and all that jazz, right? So, I don't know the dial number offhand, but when I have the video up, it will reference the dial number. But my good buddy Pat needed another watch, and he wanted one done in white and red, and he had sent a picture of one of the first builds I'd ever done that was done up in blue. And I said, I actually happen to have that dial as a white dial. So here is a Komandirskie. This Komandirskie actually comes in the 350 case, so not a lot of modification there. So still the same case that this would normally come in. Though I pulled everything off and redid it in some red sea urchin hands with a different style lollipop seconds hand. Pulled the bezel off and swapped it over to a small coin and did a red 5 dot in there. Stock crown. I was trying to put a Komandirskie crown in there, but all the ones I had didn't line up straight up and down. These crown tubes are put on all different ways, so although it feels like you're just kind of threading it on, they always stop in the same spot. So if you do not mark that and have it lasered perfectly for that case that you're working with, I just have to kind of play around and see if I have one that lines up straight up and down or straight up and down that way that looks right, and I did not. So just trying to do something like that, but only had 2 of them left to that. Did a beads of rice 22 to 20 tapering band on it. You've got your brushed on the outside and your polished on the inside. Did one of my milled solid casebacks, and since this is a Komandirskie, I happen to still have these. I haven't used these in probably 3 years. I still had some Komandirskie with my round logo down at the bottom. So double lock clasp just like any other time. But this is my original style that I used to do. So kind of a cool throwback. I had some of that stuff, and what was cool is I was like, you know what? I think I still have some of my white slider Boctok boxes from the original time when I just did mods. So that's the build, good sir. Bezel on this will turn left, it'll turn right. These are held on with a tension ring, and this is on pretty decently tight, so it will not move unless you really want it to move. Automatic mechanical, there is a rotor in the back, and this does have a date wheel and a 24-hour wheel here at the top. The hands are aligned with both, and I will show you how that works as we get into this. So back the crown off the threads until you hear it and feel it clicking. At that point you can wind, and a wind is a turn away from you. Turning it towards you doesn't do anything, but it's a lot easier to keep your finger spacing and just wind back and forth. It has a 31-hour power reserve on it. You cannot overwind it, so you can wind it all day if you want, but if you do it for 4 or 5 seconds before you put it on, that mixed with your rotor movement will keep your time throughout the day. But if you know you're going to be at a desk or driving, just go ahead and do it for another 10 seconds or so and max out that 31-hour referenced power reserve. Most of the time it's about 36 whenever I test them out, but they just say 31-hour plus. When you're happy with that, you're going to pull it to the 1 and only click. And I'm referencing that because you have a date wheel. So where's your date wheel click? There is not a date wheel click. So good times with that. So as you can see with your hands moving, when you're here, you're actually at 15. You can see in the background, there's your 18. And we see our time advanced. At that, there's no other way to get it except that your quick date set is to go back to 8. You'll see that 9 move a little bit. See it's kicking to the right and then it sets back up. You want to make sure it sets back up before you go forward. If you go back to 8, you will get that setback. That's how this works. That is your quick date setting. I think it's like the 29th right now. So if we wanted to get you caught up, we could do it. It might feel like it's annoying, but consider that we live in a world where we have all kinds of watches, and we flip back and forth, and sometimes don't wear the same watch again. The amount of watches that I own, I could almost go 2 years and not wear the same watch twice. Half of them I've never even worn once. I got big into watches and was collecting. Did that advance? I don't even. So if you ever wonder and you did not advance it, you don't want to mess with the date wheel back there. So if you ever see that it did not advance, it's safer to just do a full advance than to go back, because if it's slightly off track and it wasn't working, doing that little maneuver will keep it off track. So I was talking and not paying attention. But okay, Google, what's today's date?
It's Saturday, June 29th, 2020.
It is the 29th. And you could probably go back and see how long it took me to actually do this, even with a 24-hour spin in there. But we just advanced it 20 days, and you like to go, oh, I can normally do that in a few seconds. Well, so what I was getting at is a lot of people don't have the option of just swapping around watches, so this isn't much of a pain to them. They do it once, and they're wearing that watch the next day, and the next day, and the next day. Might skip a day, and then wear it again. Okay, Google, what time is it?
It's 1:10 p.m.
Oh, it's 1:10. Dang, it's a little ways back. So you're good. You're going to push it over, get it out of that time setting, and screw it down. So yeah, I was big into watches, and was getting watches in all the time, and collecting and like completing series of watches, and I liked them in different styles. I'm kind of a weird completist with some stuff. So started doing that. I wasn't wearing them, and then I got into doing my own watches. Well, then to advertise, I didn't wear those watches. Other than I would wear some of them that have like one of the cool straps that I've done or something like that, so that if somebody did look at it and go, yeah, I did this strap. But over half of these watches I've never even worn, so I catch a little flack for it. But for me, I say it is research and development, and I like to be able to look at that stuff and see how they paired certain things together, to know that I can also pair them myself on my own platform. So that's that build. As with every build, you're going to get matching beads. I know Pat is not into beads, so these will be my beads, but I needed them for pretty pictures. But for you, who orders a watch, you're going to get matching beads. This is going to come with a custom box. Now, this happens to be one of my old slider boxes, Boctok, or as that kind of reads, Boctok, but it's pronounced Boctok. These are my original slider boxes. This is done in a white stain. I knocked some of the stain down on the sides because these had swelled up a little bit. I couldn't even get the lid on. But so this is back to original wood up the sides. And then we just, some of the parts of these we just torch to kind of make them pop a little bit. So this is going to come with watch cleaner. This is good on all glass and metal parts. This watch as a whole, non-streaking, non-toxic, non-residue, as well as a BVW microfiber. And then this will also come with fine scratch remover. This is Novus 2 from Amazon, just repackaged. It's like a poly watch. It's for your acrylic glass because you can scratch it, but if you do, no big deal. Put a tiny bit of this on it and use your color matching microfiber to buff out the scratch. If the scratch is up and down, just go left and right, fill in that scratch, haze it, buff it out. And if it's still there, wait a little bit and come back again and do it a second time, because you are just rebuilding that acrylic back up. If you scratch anything else, you scratch the case or something like that, you can use the green side of a Scotch-Brite and brush it back in. Just do single passes. Do not go back and forth. You will put straight lines. So you want a curved line. Same thing on this. You'd want to make sure you don't get it on that because this is polished. This you're going to use like a Cape Cod cloth on, but this you would use the green side of the Scotch-Brite and single passes. especially on this, you would open this up. Like for me, whenever I have to do these, I open this up. I put my thumb here. I hold it like this, and then go that way. Nothing's gonna go on there. It's gonna hit my thumb, you know, even if I'm like crazy. And then you just brush it back straight. So, and then you would hold this, do the same thing, back and forth. Well, I say back and forth, back in the air, forth on it, back in the air, forth on it. You will start getting like little pieces of debris going everywhere because it's going to start kind of cutting it, you know, because you're hitting it. But that's how you knock those back out. So if you put a scratch in it, go like that. That's how you handle that part. So sorry for the long video. I haven't done one of these in a while, and I thought, you know what, I'll really get into explaining that just in case, because some of you new guys, you'd have to scroll back 500-600 videos. Now I did one not too long ago for my buddy Scott, an amphibia with a silver dial. So that was probably only like 12-15 videos ago, but I don't think I went into too deep on that. But you'd have to get back into the very early stuff, and even then I wasn't putting them on YouTube. I used to send a message and put them in Messenger to people, and then I realized some of those people were selling to somebody else and then not forwarding that video. And then those people would reach out to me and go, "This crown's broke. I don't know what's happening." So I'd have to explain over and over and over again. And I go, "Yeah, you'd want to use this to fix that." Well, they didn't give me that. So then I was like servicing customers that were not technically my customer. They were a secondhand customer because the first guy wasn't submitting, you know, sending all the thing that came to take care of the watches. And those are back in like the first 200 or so watches. And I think the videos I started doing over here, I went back and grabbed some and started putting them on, but it was around video 300 and some after I really was doing these pretty heavy. So you might not even see too many mods outside of maybe some of the Troika stuff. I make those for myself, make those for a couple other people. Those are vintage Boctok dials. So you don't get into too much of that unless you are one of the original guys who knows all about it. So Pat, thank you again. Sorry for the long video. I hope you're still not watching. Pat already should know all this, but for those who are watching, maybe they're going to do a mod themselves. Here is what one would look like. Makes it a little easier when you do not have to take the dial off and reattach a dial to a movement. So there is a little bit of it is a little bit easier when you're working with something like that. But yeah, so that's the build. Appreciate your time, Pat. If you want me to build you something custom and unique, reach out and I'll see what I can do. And if you want to continue to see videos like this, like and subscribe as I put them up all the time. Thanks, guys.